we're excited to have you coming to St. Joseph's. And we're in a wonderful time right now because we've been building this organization from the bottom up. It's been going on for about 5 years, so now we're getting up into the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And this is your strength. And I'm wondering, what vision or way do you figure you can take these upper grades, these middle grades, and make them superior education?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm super excited to come to St. Joe. And for our upper level grades, our 6th, 7th, 8th grades, I look at it as like 3 different situations, 3 different things. One is individualization. Looking at each one of those individual students, looking at their learning styles, looking at their career interest inventories, trying to individualize and customize their experience for each one of those. The second part of it I look at is opportunity. What opportunities can we provide? I'd like to take and engage our business community through polymers, through rubber, and maybe our medical community as well. We have some within the local area, and see if we can provide some authentic learning experiences for those particular students. And lastly, I want to invest in leadership. We have great education, phenomenal education, and I want to take and pair that with great leadership, develop the leadership skills of all of our kids, especially our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, as they go on to make what I call informed decisions as they move on to the high school level. So I'm a big believer in developing individualized portfolios so kids can monitor and track their own growth, and taking those portfolio items and pairing them with the different careers, different interests, and again, making them decision makers as they move forward.
And it seems to me your individualization would challenge some of those students that are just kind of holding on.
Absolutely, there's no question. And I want to make sure that we provide, again, opportunities. I really want to look into us considering whether we can offer some advanced credit opportunities at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade levels for kids to take an opportunity to accelerate based on where they're at. I'm a really big believer in meeting every single kid individually where they're at and moving them forward. We have them for a year, we should grow them for at least a year. And I'm really passionate about that.
Do you think parents who perhaps have a boy or a girl in the 7th or 8th grade and they're not meeting the mark? I like to think of mark because you're a bow and arrow man.
I do indeed.
Hit the mark. And they're not living up to the expectation the parents have for them. That giving them 1 or 2 years in this type of environment with individualization can help them in high school and college?
Absolutely, no question. You know, one of the things that is an extremely big benefit of St. Joe is the smaller class size and being able to work with kids on a one-on-one basis. You ask any teacher where you go, what is it one thing that you would want? And they would say smaller class sizes so I can individualize with kids. We have that, we do that. And I absolutely think that that would be an opportunity we could provide for those students in those circumstances. I'm also very passionate about executive functioning skills, making sure that we talk to kids about prioritizing their tasks, time management, task initiation, resiliency. And I think that we've gotten away from that in a lot of places, especially in the public area, public school, because I don't know that we challenge them as much as we can. And I think that I see it in my son already, my 11-year-old who's here, that'll be in 6th grade. He's developed a lot of those executive functioning skills that are going to allow him to be successful as he goes on to high school and then also into college. What
you're going to have to do is kind of mentor some teachers in this kind of program, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that is, I don't want to say new, but it's definitely different than how we were trained. And it takes a little bit different mindset, but I think it's empowering to teachers. I think that once they get involved with it, it's enjoyable and they can see the value and they can see the worth in it, and they're empowered to run with it. And
superior education, what does that mean to you?
Well, again, I go back to providing opportunities for kids that don't exist elsewhere, customizing things. You know, it's a lot of times in certain areas we get cookie cutter programs, cookie cutter things for kids. To kind of just churn out a product. I want it to be individualized for each one of those individuals.
And then we've got that other phrase, blended with faith.
Absolutely.
Because we are a Christian school, a Catholic school, Christian. How do you integrate that into the program?
That's the leadership component. That's that. I mean, if you look at Jesus and you look at the gospel and you read it, which I've been more involved with myself personally lately, that's leadership. And I think it's a perfect avenue, a perfect way to just take and include and use that as another strength for St. Joe. I think I've got a really good perspective of, you know, the ins and outs, the positives, the negatives of public school. And there are a lot of strengths,
Oh, yes.
but there are also a lot of limitations. And I think that the strengths that I see in public school are things that we could greatly benefit from, but we're not tied by the red tape and some of the weaknesses that they have, or limitations that they have. Well, I'll tell you, they have a lot of really great, fabulous teachers. You know, my son's had a lot of them, and that's exciting because I found, at least in where I'm at now, that you have good people, they have good ideas, and a lot of times I think we're too hesitant to say no. And I don't say no often. If somebody comes to me an idea, let's try it, see what happens. You know, the worst thing that can happen is it fails. Then we got to try again.
That's called experiment in science.
Yeah. So
And I like that.
Yeah. So I very rarely am I gonna, say no to things. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And I'm not like that. I think that's motivating to teachers, motivating to kids, motivating to parents. And I wanted to make it so if people are choosing to take their children other places, it has nothing to do with the level of education. Nothing. It is simply a choice for some other reason, because education is and will continue to be superior.